XSS is still the most common vulnerability class, so there's a lot of bounties to be earned here, especially if, like my today's guest, you're so good at it that you can get bounties like $50,000. We'll talk about this bug, about many other things, for example, how you can speed up your workflow by, instead of copying things from your browser to your terminal to run some tools, you can do things with one click from your browser. Enjoy my interview with renniepak. So hello Rene, thank you so much for joining me here. We're recording this in Prague just as we finish the Elite 8 round of the Ambassador World Cup. And it's great meeting you here, and thank you for being my guest today.
Likewise, thank you for having me.
For those who don't know you yet, can you please tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure, so I'm Rene, renniepak on most platforms. I'm from the Netherlands, I'm 40 years old. My background, I studied at the conservatory actually to become the professional school for music.
Oh yeah.
So to become a musician, percussionist.
Yeah.
And while I liked my studies, I quickly realized that it wasn't really for me to be a professional musician. Hobbies was fine. But I did finish it, so then I got my diplomas, and the great journey started of discovering what I did want to do with my professional career. So I did all kinds of jobs, like starting in a call center, doing tech support stuff.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely I moved towards IT a bit more. So I think my first real IT job was like a tester.
Okay.
And at the time, really like working through big Excels, like click here and check that, and then check mark, it's done.
Oof, sounds very boring to me, to be honest.
It was. But then I moved to test automation and later to development.
Yeah.
And then I think my last real job was at bol.com, which is a big retailer in the Netherlands and Belgium, a bit like Amazon.com, but more localized. There I worked also as a tester in the beginning, then as a developer, and then I became a developer in the security team of bol.com because they have some applications that are more sensitive in nature, so I worked there. And then I had the opportunity to make the switch to become an ethical hacker in the security team, because...
Still within the same company?
Yeah.
And
I was also responsible for the bug bounty program actually there. And then like 3 years ago almost, I decided to become a full-time bug bounty hunter, and that's...
So it's been 3 years already?
Yeah, in May it's 3 years, so not there yet, but it's coming there. Yeah.
How is it going? How do you like it after 2 years?
Ups and downs. No, I'm anyone that knows me and talks to me knows that it's a bit of a roller coaster for me all the time. So I really liked having the freedom.
Yeah.
That's still one of the best parts still.
Oh yeah.
Also the freedom to choose what's interesting to you. I really like that. But I struggle with like seasonal depressions. Like winter is not great for me for being alone in my workspace and typing away. And I sometimes I dislike the frustration and the drama around bug bounty reports getting downgraded or decisions you don't agree with. So that's a bit harsh sometimes. But on the other hand, I'm also not prepared to go back to like office life, and so that's still a bit. I'm still not sure what's next for me, but. So far, so good.
I understand. I also have some moments where bug bounty, it's annoying and you're getting frustrated with something, but then though I really could imagine myself going back to a 9 to 5, and it would be really, really hard at this point.
Yeah.
But
Same.
I think we all, at times, we're like, it would be really nice to just have a job, don't care about anything, get the same salary every month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But same for me. I was just telling someone that I made a mistake I filtered all my duplicate reports from the past years, and it was like 200 or 300 of them. So
wow.
I really got frustrated with all the time that I lost spending there. But yeah, it's part of the game, I guess.
Yeah. On the other side, what are the best sides about bug bounty?
Yeah, like I said, I really like doing stuff that I like. Yeah, it sounds obvious when you put it like that, but obviously in a job you need to fulfill some task.
Yeah.
And in bug bounty you can really spend time on just the parts that you're good at or that you like. Yeah, that's the best part for me, I guess.
Also, didn't say it in the intro, but you're the only person I know that has the payload tattooed on your. You can show it to the camera. For the podcast viewers, we're sorry. He has the SVG onload XSS payload on the forearm. And I think this is something, I think every hacker thought about having a tattoo like this at some point, but you're the only one that I know that actually did it. So,
yeah.
So well done. So the 3 years, how does your routine look like now? So, and how did it change during this time?
I guess my routine is pretty 9 to 5 still, actually. I'm a dad and a husband, so I just have like a daughter to take to school, and daily life is, it's just going as it's supposed to go for me, I guess. So I'm not really a nighttime hacker in that sense. I try to stick to my 9 to 5, and then it's okay for me. I guess in the beginning I was more, how do you call it? Motivated to jump on new programs, etc. Okay. Pick up the low-hanging fruits, etc., and race to get the first bounties. Yeah. Nowadays, I guess just said, I'm working more towards what I'm actually interested in, rather than joining the rat race for the first bounties. So I guess that changed a lot. Also in the beginning, I was really heavy on working on integrity, climbing the leaderboard, staying in the top 10, and currently I don't really care about leaderboards anymore.
Yeah, what is your main platform these days?
I think I don't, at this point, it's like even with like Background, HackerOne and Integrity. Actually.
All three?
Yeah.
How would you compare the differences between hacking on each of them?
Honestly, not a huge difference anymore nowadays. No.
Because I've heard from multiple people that the Integrity has better triage. I don't have a single bug on Integrity, unfortunately, so I cannot.
No, I don't want to say anything bad about Integrity because I really love them and I've done a lot on them. But you can also you do notice that they also are growing. Like when I started back then, I was really in the beginning working on Integrity, and at that time you could literally send the CEO a question about your report on a Sunday morning and he would respond. Of course, that's not something that's feasible when your company grows. So it's only logical, I guess, that they're becoming more standardized with their support, etc. So, but it's still fine, and I actually enjoy working on all the platforms, and I have also frustrations on all the platforms, I guess, yeah.
So these days you just choose by like who has the program that you want to hack on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
How about events? Do you attend a lot of them?
I did attend a lot of Integrity events, and then it's been like quiet for like the past 1.5 years or something, and this is the first one actually for HackerOne for me. So yeah.
Let's hope it's not the last.
No, let's hope.
Let's hope we meet in the final.
Yeah.
Because the background is for you at home is that now we are at the quarterfinal stage. If we advance through this stage, we'll meet again in the final round in Dubai. Even if we lose the semifinal, we'll play the match for the third place. So if we pass this round, we'll meet in Dubai in 2 months or something like that.
I think so, in May, I think, yeah.
In May, yeah, correct. So what was your main motivation to actually quit bug bounty? Because I assume for some time you were hunting for bugs after hours and working at the same time, and at some point you decided to quit. What was the the thing that actually motivated you? Okay, this is the time to quit.
It was right after COVID, I guess.
Okay.
I was already working at my previous employer like 5-6 years. It was like a natural time for me to look for something else. I had grown there, new experiences, and I needed to make a next step, and I was always wanting to try bug bounty like full time, but of course it's a scary step. So
it is.
I first saved a lot of bounties to have like a financial buffer to make.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, and then I just tried it and still trying it. Actually.
What would you say to people that are considering quitting their job for a full-time bug bounty or are just about to quit?
Well, I think the financial part is really important.
I agree.
To have a buffer to be able to fail not only for like a week, but actually, I had a buffer. I think I could fail for like 6 months. I could survive 6 months at a time. And luckily, it's a bit bigger now. But I think that really helps for bug bounty, because otherwise you'll get frustrated and you'll get if you need the money. In my experience, it becomes even harder to find something good.
I don't even imagine like having to rely on bug bounty for like, let's say, next month's rent. I cannot imagine myself in this situation. No. I think I would be just stressed.
And in my experience, that lowers your creativity as well. So then it all becomes harder and harder. Actually,
Let's now jump into a little more technical topics.
Cool.
A year ago, or I guess now it would be more closer to 2 years ago, you published a blog post with like your top vulnerability types. The top one was XSS, the second one was IDORs, and the third one was access control bugs. Would you still put them in the same order today?
I think so, yes.
So XSS is your favorite bug class?
Yes, it's a blessing and a curse in that sense.
Why is it a curse?
My last year wasn't as successful as the year before. And that's mainly because I followed my interests, which was I did a lot of post-message XSS, which I find very interesting and also very abundant. Like it's everywhere. Even this event, I found some. The only problem is that it's often caused by third parties, because the technology of post messages really links to like the relation between third parties and like main scope, because
if you're in the same origin, you don't need the post
exactly
message.
So often these type of bugs are like partly correctly blamed on the third party, and then you'll lose some money.
So it's hard to get paid for them, is what you mean?
Yeah.
When you look for these bugs, do you only look at what post messages are being sent, or do you also like manually see the source code to see what listeners are there as well?
Both actually. Actually, I think I mentioned this before in another podcast, but I used Frans Rosen's post message tracker, and I actually made a lot of enhancements since then, also to kind of actively alert me if some XSS things are already present in the listener.
Okay.
So then I'll get a pop-up saying, check this out.
This sounds like it's more than just a source code scan. It sounds like you're actually sort of interpreting the function or something like that?
No, it's much more basic than that. Okay. So it's like really like looking for if there's a href equals in there, then it's probably something with, so it's really rudimentary in that sense. But I really like in any of my bug bounty to have, I prefer false positives over false negatives.
False negatives.
So I'd rather check something out and it's nothing than the other way around. So
of course.
Yeah.
Is your version of the post message tracker public, or is it your private? Okay, that's a shame. I can't do that.
Yes.
Have you tried other tools for post messages? Like DOM Invader has something.
Yes, I have tried it, and occasionally use DOM Invader for if you need to spoof an origin, because they can do just it works out of the box, I guess.
Yeah.
But I typically just use Chrome DevTools, set breakpoints, and if I need to edit data on the fly,
So you just write the post message in JavaScript console or stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay. I see. What other tools do you use apart from the post message tracker?
Well, Burp, of course. I'm not that great with command line. I use FAF occasionally, but I'm like, my attention span is too short to keep waiting for the end result. So typically halfway through, I'm like, it's probably not going to find something. And I have some other browser tools. Like, I guess people also know me for like JavaScript bookmarklets. I do a lot of browser stuff, also building small tools to help myself within the browser.
So you just write some JavaScript and put it as a bookmark to sort of click it and do something?
Yeah,
I remember, I don't know who mentioned this, that they learned this trick from you.
Could be, I have one that is fairly known that finds endpoints in JavaScript sources. It tries to pull all
that's the one. I don't know who mentioned it, but I saw it, I use this trick as well for, I don't remember the context now, but I had some mobile browser or maybe some other device, and I wanted for some reason to execute JavaScript, but there's no JavaScript console there. And I remember, I used I saw this tip and I was like, oh yeah, I can do the bookmark with JavaScript. And I don't remember what was I doing, but it's nice.
Yeah, I really like it. I like it because it's quick. I don't need an external tool. I don't need to move away from my focus. I can just click the button and move along.
Yeah, I think I underestimate the bookmark button. Sometimes, for example, I'm testing the outflow, and instead of like going to repeater, copy the URL, paste it again, I just do the bookmark and I just go through the flow instantly. It just feels so nice for some reason. Yeah. And I only started doing it recently. I don't know why, but it's nice. So would you say you're a manual hacker?
Yes,
definitely.
So. Yeah.
So it's just burp, browser, and some fuzzing occasionally?
Yeah. I think my main burp tools are like intruder and repeater.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's it, yeah. So I'm mainly a manual hacker, I guess, yeah.
Do you use any checklist?
It's like, how do you call it in English? I try to do it, and then after a while I forget about my checklists and I'm back to gut feeling again. Yeah, so yeah.
I identify myself so much with what you're saying. I have created a checklist, and sometimes I look at it, but it's like the last thing if I've already run out of ideas.
Exactly.
Let's look at that checklist and make sure it's everything, but I really would like to do it more. I feel you will identify with as well that I would like to fuzz more, because I do very much manual hacking and I struggle to sort of fuzz things where I know the probability of it working is low, but if I do it like often enough, the probability probably will be higher. But I'm in the sense of like, okay, I want to like see the motivation for the payload I'm trying, and if it's like blind, I'll just fuzz every input. I'm not doing it, and I think I should.
Yeah.
Would you say the same?
Yeah. Yes, I guess.
Okay.
But like I just said, it was partly a joke and partly the truth. My attention span is not good. If I don't know if it's ever going to work, I tend to really quit ahead of time.
Yeah.
And But it is a consideration, especially since last year wasn't great. So I'm trying to move more again towards the IDORs and the access control stuff. Which is also stuff that you can find in JavaScript sources like endpoints, etc. that we just mentioned. So, yeah.
Do you actually use some productivity tricks to help with your short attention span?
No.
You just
power
through it.
Except for like putting on the noise cancelling headset with some focus music and try.
Do you still work from coworkings?
No,
from home. Because that's changed since the podcast 1 year ago.
Yeah, so I had a co-working space. Was mainly also to get out of the house, meet some people, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But in reality, there were like all self-employed people on that floor, meaning that there was no one there all the time, because most of the people working there had it like a backup place. Like if they weren't at a customer, they would go there for a few hours and not be there for the rest of the week. So it wasn't really worth my money, I guess. So I moved back home.
Okay. This is going to be a hard question, because I sense you're very much an intuition-based hacker, and it's always hard to sort of ask questions about it. But what are some things that you do, and maybe when working with younger hackers or less experienced hackers, I want to say, you see they do not do the things that you do, or things they struggle with that for you, oh, that's easy?
That's a really hard question.
It is. Because it is really hard to ask about sort of the intuition, and I'm trying hard.
Yeah, I guess, but it sounds like such a cliche, but follow something that you're really interested in. I often am amazed by people that claim on their social media that they have a certain methodology, that they always go step by step and doing this and that. Yeah, I don't have that.
But I think people ask about it, but nobody who actually hacks has such a strict methodology.
No, and I think some starting bug bounty hunters get blindsided by the methodology rather than getting to know the technology that they're hacking. I think that's maybe something that can be a takeaway. Like,
that's a
get to know the technology that you're trying to hack rather than following a methodology to hack it. Like, I must confess, I use ChatGPT all the time. And even when I worked in an office and ChatGPT didn't exist, I was asking colleagues questions all the time. And now I have a colleague that always answers my questions happily for me. But often it's just about how does this work, like the happy flow, not even trying to hack anything. I'm just interested in how things work. And then when you have a good feeling about that, then you can start thinking about, okay, how can I abuse this, I guess.
That's true. And the word methodology is also something I noticed from the creator perspective. People ask about it all the time, and sometimes my answer is like, each article or each video that I produce about how do I hack, it's just you can call it part of my methodology. So we can say I disclose part of my methodology every week when doing some part of content.
True.
But people ask about it like it was some kind of magic process or magic checklist, and I think they do expect it to be something crazy. But the reality is what you say. The ability to use the app properly, the ability to sort of be in a good place, do the happy flow, have the account, have the like KYC, whatever. This is the part that's actually hard, and the part that sort of gets the bugs, and not actually some magic payloads.
No, true. Yeah, and I think the only thing that I might do that a beginner doesn't do is I try, like with the JavaScript bookmarklets. If I notice, and I think that's really typical for IT people in general. But if I notice I'm doing the same thing over and over again manually, then I start automating stuff like with a JavaScript bookmarklet or whatever. So I guess that helps in some cases to get to know your target, etc.
But sometimes we do sort of use the more advanced tricks. I saw your tool or maybe not a tool, the website we've gathered all the CSP bypasses. I really like it. It's really good.
Thank you.
How often do you actually, and sort of you also sometimes do some challenges with a short XSS payload, something like that. How often would you say you actually need those things like CSP bypasses, short payloads, weird car sets to exploit an XSS in the real world?
Very rarely, actually. Yeah. So the CSP bypass really came out of frustration of not being able to find a bypass, basically. Because that's also the thing with XSS, you often have to show impact, and you often have to show like have to find a bypass for a CSP. And I got frustrated that probably every hacker that reports XSS to a specific program has to bypass the same CSP and probably uses the same endpoint or the same library that's hosted somewhere in a whitelisted domain. So I got a bit frustrated with that. And of course, you have the Google CSP evaluator that works great. And it has some domains somewhere in the code.
It has, but it just tells you the domain. It's hard.
So I was like, that would be a great idea. To do it.
How did you gather all of these?
The first batch, I was basically like, I checked the Google ones. Then somebody quickly told me to open source it so people could contribute actively. Yeah. So I did that. So a lot of new ones came from that. And also a lot came from just GitHub regex searches, I guess. Okay. So I just searched for a plausible JSONP endpoint.
Oh, I see.
Searched for Angular stuff. So yeah.
How many sort of bypasses are there now in the tool? Do you know?
Don't know. No, I'm not 100% sure, but I think over 100 at least.
Oh, that is great.
And, there are many more, but I try to keep the list to ones that are actually useful, I guess. One guy who was really actively contributing and he contributed some great stuff, but he also once got a list of like a few thousand, they were all blocks, all WordPress blocks that had like a JSONP endpoint or something.
Oh,
and they're technically technically they could be used for a CSP bypass, but it was very unlikely that anyone would have it in their CSP headers. So
especially, I think every WordPress website has the JSONP endpoints.
So exactly. So I typically, if I get a new one, I try to just do like a GitHub search for the domain name, and if it's more than 1,000 times in there in different repositories, then it's probably something good.
Yeah, cool. How about some XSS cross-site scripting techniques like DOM clobbering? Have you ever exploited this in the wild?
No.
That's me neither.
Answer. No.
Interesting.
I'm not intelligent enough to do that.
me neither. But I was speaking with Johan Carlson in the last podcast, and he was like, "Oh, this is actually more useful than you think." And I'm like, surely, because I think it's not useful at all.
Johan is in a league of his own.
He is crazy.
No, I think the most advanced XSS I did was like prototype pollutions, but also mainly from like the public repository of BlackFan. He has a few gadgets and so that's still fairly easy and fairly.
Do you always look for these, for the proto pollution?
No.
What happened that time that you looked for them?
It was one of my failed attempts of automation. I had some automation running for a while. Yeah. But like a true amateur, I did it on my home computer, just leave it overnight, etc. Yeah. It worked quite well and got some leads, and I even got some nice bounties from it. But again, the attention span, once it breaks and I have to fix it like 5 times, I get bored of it. And
so your automation found the proto pollution?
Yeah, I found some stuff.
That's good. Yeah. And now you don't look for it manually?
No, not enough. I have a JavaScript bookmarklet for it, but I don't click on it much. I should.
Is it for sort of putting things in the URL bar?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So basically, it just puts all of them in the URL bar and then checks in the console if it can find a polluted object, basically. Okay. And then you still have to find the gadget to make XSS out of it. But
how do you do it? Like if you see the proto pollution and you need the gadget, what's the first thing you look at?
I think the same repository I just mentioned has like a short script to check for these gadgets, like just by looking at the imported JavaScript files and determine if it has like jQuery and stuff like that. And again, I made a JavaScript bookmarklet out of it to just show me an alert like these. You can try these few.
So you sort of took the repo, created the JavaScript bookmarklet from it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. How many of these bookmarklets do you have?
Too many.
You have like a full bar.
My
Nice.
home bar is like full with them, and then a few more, I guess.
Nice. I don't have a single one. I think I should.
Yeah, it's really nice. Again, I used for all kind of stuff. Like I have one for like making a quick word list of all the words that are on the present page. So once I had like a Swagger doc file, and I wanted to use that as a word list for fuzzing further. I can now just click the button and I get all the words in the Swagger doc.
Wow.
So
that's so useful.
Yeah.
What are the other ones that you think are what is the one you use the most?
The endpoint one.
The endpoint one. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
And it's also kind of public one, because the rest one I assume is your private one, and that one is.
Yeah, I think I also shared the word list one. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's because it makes the workflow very quickly, because you don't have to copy something from the browser.
No, exactly.
Even if you're proficient with Bash or whatever tool you use, if you can like do something with one click, it just...
No, and that's what I really like, because every time I share one of these bookmarklets, people comment, "Oh, you have a command line tool that does exactly this," and I know, and it works, but this is so much quicker and easier for me, at least.
Yeah, that's gonna be my resolution for 2025 to move my workload in this direction a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you tried some of the sort of client-side hacking techniques that were new, at least for me, 2024? Like we had the cross-window hijacking, we had the double-click jacking, which 2 days ago, I think, Portugal published the top 10 list, and the double-click jacking was, I think, number 6. Have you tried this?
Not really, actually. I must confess, I don't know both. I don't know either of them. So I have some reading up to do, I guess.
Yeah. They are interesting. They are, it's something new. There is impact with very creative techniques for sure. I'm sort of yet to know how well do companies respond to both of them. Well, cross-window hijacking, I already know that companies do accept it sometimes, and they can pay really well. The double-click jacking, I don't think we've seen a public report that was rewarded, but we'll see.
I'll look into it.
Yeah. I also saw you hacking a little bit on MetaMask, on the browser extension.
Correct.
Do you spend a lot of time in general on browser extensions?
No, I would like to though. Also because they also use their own kind of post messages to communicate, etc.
Yeah, it is crazy what happens there.
And also because I'm kind of into the crypto thingies. They, of course, all have their own wallet in their own extensions. So that's how I got into it, basically. It's not that I specifically look for browser extensions to hack. It's more of like a side quest.
Yeah, I think they are very interesting, and the impact of the browser extensions is so big, because a lot of them just ask you for all the permissions on all the websites.
True.
So if you can get something there, it is really, really serious.
No, I still have a lot of learning to do in that area, I guess.
Yeah, you probably listened to the critical thinking episodes with Matan about the extensions. Yeah. It is crazy what happens there. I wasn't even aware that you have like this so many different contexts. This post messaging from the page to one thing, and then another post message. Yeah. It is crazy, but especially for you looking for a lot of XSSs, it should be a very good area, because the impact is so high with these things.
Yeah, definitely.
Similarly, like with Web3, where XSS all of a sudden is so severe.
Yeah. So that's why. That's also why I'm sometimes moving towards Web3 stuff. Like typically, an XSS a stored XSS in a Web3 program is like a critical. Plus the bounties in Web3 programs are typically higher. So from an XSS point of view, it's a good decision to do stuff in the crypto scene. Yeah.
Your 50K bounty, was it on one of these sort of Web3 websites?
Yes.
Can you tell us what it was, or is it undisclosed?
It's undisclosed. I think people know what program it was, but I won't mention it. But it was a since you have multiple. It was an NFT marketplace.
Yeah.
And I had a stored XSS there that I got there because I deployed a smart contract, an NFT smart contract. And what these marketplaces typically do, they'll just monitor the blockchain, and every smart contract that fits the format of a NFT, they will just import and show in their marketplace, basically.
Yeah.
So I just I actually found a few of those bugs on different marketplaces, and all have their own kind of problems, I guess. Because for the one it's in the title, for another one it's like in a metadata URL.
Yeah.
So there are some different flavors, I guess, in that, but the basics are all the same. Like I deploy a smart contract and they fail to sanitize it or to encode it.
Yeah. So pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But I guess for a lot of people, it's a really big hurdle to do like a smart contract deployment, etc.
Yeah, I imagine half of the audience now is like wouldn't have an idea like how do you send a smart contract transaction.
Exactly. So I did do some deep dive there, but basically deep dive is relative because it's like a smart contract deployment 101. Like everyone can do this who is a blockchain developer, I guess.
Yeah.
So and it's way easier than most people think. So you need to have a crypto wallet, and for the rest it's like a few clicks and you deploy a smart contract. So something to work.
Congrats on that. Thanks. It is a big impact. Did you also look for some Web3 sort of server-side stuff in the smart contracts themselves?
Yes, I have, but I like what I dislike about really like smart contract vulnerability hunting is that it's mostly code review.
It is. Which sounds to me like a heaven.
Yeah, but I also do a lot of code review, and I found a lot of stuff on like open source projects, etc. But what I really like is like how would you call it? Is the gray box approach that you can, on the one hand, click an application, intercept stuff, etc., and then use the code to determine what code paths to take, etc.
Yeah.
While with smart contracts, it's only code.
Really? Is it not possible to attach a debugger if you have sort of your own?
I guess, but then you can only trigger stuff by writing your own code interacting with a smart contract, basically. It's not really, you won't have a UI to press buttons or whatever. And it's not that I need it, but I noticed that it's, not really my cup of tea, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. But have you like learned it, or are you at the level where you just thought about it and decided it's not for you?
I've learned some stuff, but I've never successfully found anything. No.
Okay, I'm in the same boat. I had a period maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I was learning a little bit. I at least then I knew about some bug classes in smart contracts, but I never spent a minute hunting for them in the real world.
And it's hard because in some sense they are so completely different than the bug types you are used to. Like if I don't know, if you like lose a few cents somewhere in a smart contract, then it's considered a high or a critical, and in the real world you would like be okay, maybe they'll accept it as a low or something. Yeah.
How about let's go back to Web 2. You said IDORs and access control bugs are still at the sort of top of your list.
Yeah.
And for me, it is crazy. How does it happen that these bugs, often when they are found, they look like really simple bugs, but still people like you, people at the top, find them all the time. So how does it happen? How do you all still find all of these bugs?
I don't know. I guess in my case, again, it really boils down to the manual hacking, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking for fuzzing lots of endpoints, but typically, especially nowadays with these huge JavaScript client-side frameworks where like basically all the endpoints are in there, also the admin endpoints are in there because the admin probably used the same UI as you do, but has a different account. But all the stuff is typically in there. So that's how I find that stuff. And where I did start to do some fuzzing is recently is like GraphQL endpoints.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that don't have introspection but will say like, did you mean if you put something in there, they will give you a response with a suggestion that is correct. Like, did you mean this? Yes, I did mean this. And then you can start enumerating all the stuff by yourself. So I did find some stuff like that. I also think you have some tools for it, but I made my own scripts for it. But yeah.
Is it a JavaScript bookmark?
No.
As well? Yeah, I was about to ask you if you used the tool for this, but...
No, I did, yeah.
Did you try it?
The clairvoyance.
That's it, yeah.
It didn't work for me, so for some reason. So, yeah, I built my own, I guess.
Okay. So what's your workflow with GraphQL? You see the GraphQL endpoint, you see there's no introspection, you run the tool, and then you sort of manually go from there?
Yes. Yeah, and then I'll try to have a tool to kind of resemble like the typical GraphQL introspection schema that you will get.
Yeah.
It's not complete, but it does highlight some keywords that are potentially interesting. So I'll try to manually reconstruct a query that uses those keywords.
Okay.
And go from there, I guess. Yeah.
Do you just send it from verb repeater?
Yes.
Okay. And do you use because there are 2 or 3 GraphQL extensions? Which one do you use? Do you remember? You don't use them?
No, I think Burp has their own GraphQL tab.
Okay.
Nowadays.
Okay.
So I use that.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I know there's like InQL, there's GraphQL Explorer, a few of them. But maybe they actually I'm using the just GraphQL tab, whatever.
Yeah, if it's just in the repeater tab, I think it's like Burp's own thingy.
Okay, nice.
Could be.
About the endpoints, because the problem that I always encounter when I sort of find endpoints, I will send them for intruder, and then if there's sometimes it's easy because you have sort of verbose error. Oh, we need the user parameter in this endpoint, but sometimes you just get the generic 502, 500, 400, and sort of how do you prioritize? Because I imagine you will often have 100, 200 endpoints. How do you prioritize which endpoints to focus on, and then how do you construct the requests?
Focus is really based on just what seems juicy. Like I'll just scroll to the list, and if it's like reset password or whatever, something admin-y, then I'll prioritize those. And I either do what you just said, like I hope that it will return something like you missed this parameter, etc., etc. That's the easy approach, I guess.
Yeah.
Another thing that I often do is like with these client-side applications, you can often trick it, like just the front end, into thinking you are an admin, while you're not an admin on the back end.
Yeah.
But it will show you the UI, for example. Sometimes it's as easy as changing some JavaScript in the response that says is admin false, and then you move it to true, and suddenly you get the UI for an admin.
Yeah.
But what's really
so sorry to interrupt. Would you make this change in match and replace rules?
Yes.
Okay.
Typically, yeah. And other types that you'll see sometimes if you use an endpoint and it will give you a 401. Then the JavaScript has some parts that it will redirect you to the logout page or something like that. Yeah. Then I'll just remove it completely and load it like that.
The part of the JavaScript?
Yeah, the part of the redirection. So you don't get to the logout screen anymore.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
And what that really allows you to do is just click stuff that an admin would click. And then you don't need to minify or don't need to reconstruct the whole JavaScript, etc. But it will just send a request through your repeat or through your burp. And then you don't have to think about basically reconstructing the endpoint and the parameters, etc. Yeah.
Do you also, because I know Justin was saying about turning on some feature flags and having success with this, which is kind of like what you said about the admin panel, but in a little bit different context. Yeah. Have you also had success with this approach?
Yes, actually, yeah. I think one fun finding I had once was like, it was exactly that. I think it was like it had like defined some user roles, and I had the role user, and I just replaced it to the role admin. Yeah. and it showed the admin UI.
Yeah.
And basically nothing worked except for the password reset UI, which allowed me to enter it was pre-filled with my own email address.
Yeah.
But I could enter any email address, and it would show the password reset to screen. Like,
so nice.
So yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah. How do you usually like the feature flags? If they are in the one request, it's easy. But sometimes I think it's a little bit more hidden, maybe in the JavaScript. Do you sometimes get as deep to find these feature flags? Because personally, I've never spent time on sort of finding the feature flags or whatever.
Yeah, I'm typically pretty deep into the JavaScript stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes even too deep that I get blindsided by, for example, like if a backend request just returns the feature flags. Yeah. It's much easier to replace them there than to spend time in the JavaScript. But yeah.
What other things are? Because we know you look for the post message listeners. We know you look for feature flags. What are the other sort of most important things you look for JavaScript? Because sometimes it's so much code, it's just hard to focus somewhere.
Yeah, so like roles, permission roles is always interesting. Feature flags, endpoints, and typically, I think that's about it. Typically, if you have a juicy endpoint, then you try to dive into that JavaScript and see what's happening around it, etc. But I think that's mostly it, actually. So I guess it makes sense. It's stuff that you won't have access to normally that stands out. Yeah,
it is. It just these things. The analyzing JavaScript is also something I would really like to ask you a smart question about it. But I know it's just impossible. You just know how to do it and you know what to focus on. But it's just called experience.
Yeah,
and there's no question to ask about it.
Yeah. Especially with the post messages. I came to a point where I would just recognize like the library based on the structure of the minified JavaScript.
Oh, wow.
Like it was minified in a different way, but I was like, oh, that's the same. No, not interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
So yeah, it's mostly experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess. Experience with like the Chrome debugging tools is also really handy. Like
that's really helpful.
Knowing where to set breakpoints and editing stuff on the fly is really useful for getting to know the JavaScript.
Yeah. Do you use the sort of, because when you set the breakpoint, you can have the breakpoint, log point, and conditional breakpoint. Mm-hmm. Do you use all three of them regularly, or is mostly
it's mostly typical breakpoints.
Yeah.
Basically
it works. Yeah, DevTools are very, very powerful. At some point, I was not aware of how many features there are, and in DevTools, it was just all the
it's great work. Actually. Yeah,
it's super, super helpful. Yeah. Apart from the discovering endpoints, because also one question before this. So IDOR and access control bugs. In your sort of what are your definitions of these two bug classes? Because for me, they are kind of
they're kind of the same. I guess access control in this sense is like an endpoint that you have access to that you shouldn't have access to without an identifier, I guess. But that's the only difference in my mind, I guess.
But the sort of methodology is kind of similar. Find an endpoint that you shouldn't do and...
Definitely,
Do you think that accessing these endpoints from JavaScript is the only thing that make you find the access control bugs and IDORs, which other people don't find? Or do you think there's something else that you also do that could be the reason?
Not sure. Not sure, honestly. No, I don't know. No.
Yeah, it's for me it's crazy. I don't have you say you have short attention span, but for these bugs, from my perspective, you do maybe not attention span, but you need a lot of persistence to go for all of them. For me, I check 2 or 3. Now I will look for other bug classes.
Yeah, and I guess that's also tied to what you're interested in. I guess.
Yeah.
Because I have that my attention span is short with like FAF tools, etc.
Yeah. but for this,
if I'm locked in, I'll forget to eat and drink, etc.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. I also read you run something called Hacker Hideout. Can you tell us what this is?
It's a bit stale at the moment, but me and Stefan, we have a small Discord community with a bunch of hackers that we know or that we get to know, and we try to organize regular meetups. So we had one last year in May in Utrecht in the Netherlands. People came from all over Europe, people from Poland, people from France, and we did some hacking actually. We arranged some private invites for the afternoon. We did some hacking, ate some pizza, had a few drinks, and basically that was it.
Yeah.
And it originated basically out of a need of doing like these live hacking events, but having the control to do what you want to do basically. And people don't need to hack when they come, but we like to offer them the opportunity to hack. So yeah, it's basically just a fun side project where we get to do fun events that we like.
Yeah. Are you planning something for this year as well?
Yes, I'm actually planning. We're gonna make a plan next weekend.
Okay.
So hopefully soon.
Any idea of the location or dates?
Probably the Netherlands again.
Okay.
But nothing is decided yet.
Okay. I hope I get an invitation for it. I've never been there, and it would be a cool reason to go there.
I'll be sure to invite you.
And also for me, I especially from the interview in the Critical Thinking podcast, I sense you also like struggle with hacking, which is you do it alone and you sort of don't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And for me as well, I am a team player. I like to talk with people. That's why I like this tournament as well. And so you kind of surprised me with the thing that you're no longer in the co-working. But for me, the sort of connecting the bug bounty, which is very sort of you go alone, with the social aspects or the team competitions here, I do really love it.
Yeah. The origin of the Hacker Hideout idea was in fact a bit broader because I was struggling with it. So my first idea actually was to have like a flex working space targeted towards bug bounty hunters or hackers or IT persons. And then I was looking into the logistics of it and looking into what bug bounty hunters from the Netherlands would be interested in an office space in Utrecht. Like I could count like to 10 bug bounty hunters from the Netherlands who were all over the Netherlands. So probably not the best idea.
Yeah, this is very, very, very niche. Cool. We'll soon head to the end of the interview because we have the show and tell soon.
Yeah.
But can you please tell me what are your goals for 2025 bug bounty wise?
Focus more on back-end stuff, I guess.
Okay. Are you planning to learn the Web3 a little bit, or you completely like let go of the idea?
No, I'm actually, I don't know if I can disclose the targets for this round, but I actually looked into like blockchain node codes more.
Yeah, I think that the customers are public.
Okay. So I did that this round. Wasn't really successful, but it did spark some interest to maybe do that on other targets as well. Also reread some blogs about other people finding stuff by that approach. So that's something I'm actually interested in. And the funny part is that it's actually not specifically Web3, I guess, but it does, of course, have impact on these Web3 programs. So that's something I aim to do more.
Yeah, awesome. Good luck with this.
Thank you very much.
Good luck in this round. I hope Netherlands and Poland will advance to the next one. And
exciting.
And we'll meet in Dubai. Thank you so much for the interview.
Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, also check out the one with Johan Carlson that's on your screen right now and also linked in the description. For now, thank you so much for listening and goodbye.